just when we thought maybe things were cooling down.
Right.
Like we might get a little break from this whole Drake and Kendrick Lamar thing. Nope, there's a whole new twist.
It really does feel like every time we think we have a handle on this saga, some new layer gets peeled back.
Exactly. And we know you're here because you want to know what's going on, but you probably don't have time to sift through all the articles and social media and everything else.
Right.
And that's where we come in. Today, we're diving deep specifically into what appears to be Kendrick Lamar's first musical response to that lawsuit Drake filed.
Yeah, and it's classic Kendrick. Not a straight-up statement or anything, but definitely some very pointed bars.
Exactly. It's all very layered, very nuanced. So to be clear for everyone listening, we've gone through the recent reports, and we're going to break down all the key points.
Right. For this deep dive, we're sticking to the news coverage of this latest development.
Yeah, and our mission. To help you understand what Kendrick is saying in this new verse and how it connects to the lawsuit, as far as we can tell from what's been reported.
Precisely.
Okay, so the big news that kicked all this off, Playboi Carti, his new album, Music, finally dropped. Friday, March 14th, 2025.
It did, though it was a little bit fashionably late, wasn't it?
It was, yeah. Fans were waiting at midnight, but it didn't actually hit streaming services for a few hours.
Yeah. Seems like there were some sample clearance issues. Carti actually messaged Kai Cenat about it, explaining the delay.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
Yeah. It's actually more common than people might think. Getting those clearances to legally use parts of other people's music, it can be a real process.
Makes sense, yeah. But anyway, the big headline for our deep dive today, Kendrick Lamar is featured on the album.
Yeah.
And not just a quick little appearance.
Oh, no. 3 whole tracks. He's on Bacteria or Mojo Jojo, and then, of course, the one that's really got everyone talking, Good Credit.
Right. And Good Credit, that's where we find these lyrics that seem to be sending a pretty clear message about the lawsuit. Let's hear those lines.
All right, so the lines everyone's focused on are, the numbers is nothing, the money is nothing, I really been him, I promise. Say Kenny been heavy out west, and I carry the weight, nigga, I'm Luka Doncic. Conspiracy theories is a given, but I must admit it, you got the wrong person.
Okay, wow. A lot to unpack there, but that conspiracy theories line, especially when he follows it up with, you got the wrong person.
Yeah.
Feels like he's talking about Drake's lawsuit, right?
It does seem that way.
Can you remind everybody what exactly Drake is alleging in that lawsuit?
Sure. So back in January 2025, Drake filed this pretty big lawsuit against Universal Music Group, UMG. And his central claim is that UMG was basically working behind the scenes with Interscope.
Which, for our listeners who might not remember, Interscope is Kendrick Lamar's label.
Yes, exactly. So Drake is alleging that UMG, Interscope, along with Spotify and potentially other companies, all colluded to manipulate things in Kendrick's favor.
Okay, and what was the alleged purpose of this whole scheme? What were they supposedly trying to do?
Well, according to the lawsuit, their goal was to artificially inflate the popularity of Kendrick's diss track, Not Like Us, make it seem way bigger than it really was.
Right, Not Like Us. That song was everywhere for a while.
Yeah, it was huge. And Drake is alleging that its success was manufactured, at least to a certain degree.
So how are they claiming they did this? What specific methods are being alleged in the lawsuit?
It's a few things, actually. The reports say that Drake is accusing them of using streaming bots to rack up fake plays. Payola basically paying for radio play and playlist placements.
Oh, wow.
Right. And then other sort of shady industry tactics that Drake's lawyers are claiming were illegal.
Wow, so a lot of moving parts.
Yeah, definitely.
And the motivation behind all this, why would UMG and these other companies supposedly go to such lengths?
According to Drake's lawsuit, they were trying to damage his reputation. Remember, Not Like Us had some pretty harsh things to say about Drake, and its popularity, if it was artificially inflated, would have amplified that negativity.
Right. Makes sense.
And then there's the whole contract situation. Drake was apparently in the middle of trying to renegotiate his contract with his label. And the lawsuit suggests that UMG might have been trying to weaken his position in those negotiations, by propping up a rival artist like Kendrick.
Oh, wow. So it's like...
It's that age-old tension between artists and labels.
Yeah.
It happens a lot, but it's not often this public.
Right. Okay, so we've got that context. But it's important to remember, Kendrick Lamar himself isn't actually named as a defendant in this lawsuit, right?
That's correct. The lawsuit is targeting UMG and the other companies, not Kendrick directly.
Right. Okay, good to clarify that. And actually, you mentioned that Kendrick had already hinted at this situation before, even without, an official statement. When was that?
Yeah, so during his Super Bowl halftime show last month, he supposedly made this really quick reference to it.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Most people probably wouldn't have even noticed it, but for anyone who's following this whole drama, it definitely seemed like he was acknowledging the lawsuit.
Interesting. Very subtle.
Very Kendrick, yeah.
So back to those good credit lyrics. When we think about all this context, the conspiracy theories line, the wrong person line, it does sound like he's responding to those allegations, doesn't it? Even if it's kind of indirectly and within this feature on someone else's song.
It's definitely a possible interpretation, right? Given the timing and the specific language he uses,
Right.
and you got the wrong person part, it could be his way of saying, hey, I earned my success. I wasn't involved in any of that manipulation.
Right, it's a denial, but it's also delivered with this confidence, this swagger.
Yeah,
Very much part of the whole vibe of the verse.
exactly.
And actually, it seems like there might be even more layers to this verse. A couple other lines people are pointing to as potential references, too.
Yeah, there are definitely some other lines that have people talking.
Like, for example, that line, the hate get realer, the love get fake. But when you this great, that's how you should like it.
Right. A lot of people think that's a nod to Drake's 2016 hit, Fake Love.
Yeah, it definitely has that feel, right?
Yeah.
And then there's an even more direct reference to someone outside of this whole Drake-Kendrick thing, AAP Relly. What's that line about?
Okay, yeah, that line is, Eliant chain go big, white gold link fall on the belly. The emerald cuff for hers and his, that bitch on point like AP Rally. It's a reference to the person who accused AP Rocky of shooting them.
Oh, right.
It implies someone being perceived as overly cooperative with authorities.
Right, okay. So we've got this verse where Kendrick seems to be addressing this major lawsuit, maybe taking a little jab at Drake, and also referencing a whole different legal situation from the hip-hop world, all within, like, what, 4 lines?
Yeah, he's packing a lot in there, which I guess we've come to expect from Kendrick.
Absolutely. So let's shift gears a bit. This Playboi Carti album itself was a pretty big deal even before it dropped, right? People have been waiting on this for a while.
Oh, absolutely. Music was first announced back in 2023, I think, and it's his first full-length album since Whole Lotta Red in 2020. His fans have been eagerly anticipating this one.
Yeah. And beyond all the features, Carti is known for his, I guess you could call it experimental sound. He's been super influential in hip-hop lately.
Definitely. So there's all this anticipation for this album. How's the sound evolving? What's he going to do next?
Right. And speaking of those features, we mentioned Kendrick's verses already, but there are a ton of other big names on this album, too.
Oh, yeah. Huge lineup. Future, Travis Scott, Young Thug, Lil Uzi Vert, The Weeknd, Skepta, Tidal. It's like a who's who of contemporary hip-hop.
Definitely adds to the buzz around this album.
Just sure.
Okay, so big picture for our listeners. What we're looking at here is Kendrick Lamar seemingly responding to this very public lawsuit from Drake. And he's doing it in a way that's classic Kendrick. Through his music, specifically a guest verse on Playboi Carti's new album, Music.
And the fact that he chose to do it this way, not a statement or anything, but a verse on someone else's song, it really makes you wonder. Right?
Oh, absolutely. What does it say about the dynamics between these two artists? Could this actually escalate things? Or is it maybe a way of de-escalating by not directly engaging with the legal side of it?
And the whole delivery, too. Like you said, it's playful but firm, leaves a lot open to interpretation.
Definitely. We highly recommend you check out Good Credit, listen to the whole verse, and see what you think.
Yeah, listen to his delivery, consider all the context we've talked about, and form your own conclusions.
Exactly. This deep dive is just a snapshot of a much bigger story, a story that's still unfolding.
Absolutely. The lawsuits, the lyrics, it's all connected. And we're going to keep following it as it develops.
Definitely. All right, well, that wraps up this deep dive for today. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me.
And we'll be back soon with more.